something that Scott and I are very passionate about is helping Christian guys and girls get married and have healthy, happy, holy marriages. We feel like that is the biggest way we can be countercultural and not of this world in this current day and age. But something that we noticed is that there's not much help for people in this realm. So this video is for ladies. We want to help you understand how to attract a guy versus pursuing a guy.
The biggest thing we see is girls trying to control a guy into marrying them, control a guy into pursuing them and liking them, essentially pursuing the guy. And so one of the
and we all fall into that.
Yeah.
I've fell into that. It's kind of a helpless feeling when you're a girl and you like someone and you don't know how to make something happen. You're like, what do I do? How do I get a guy to pursue me?
As a guy, many guys fall into that. You know, if a girl's giving me attention, like, okay, like that's fine. I'll go along with it.
So first we want to talk about how to attract a guy, because the temptation is always going to be to pursue a guy, but the better way is to attract a guy. And so that looks like being feminine. And what does being feminine look like? It looks like, first of all, taking care of yourself. You know when you're feeling healthy versus when you're feeling not great. And so that looks like eating healthy, drinking plenty of water. There's so many resources out there for taking care of our bodies and stewarding our bodies well. And guys like that. And the type of guy that you probably want is going to like that. And second, that also just looks like caring for your hygiene. So you don't need to like load up on the makeup and go crazy with that. But you know, just again, taking care of yourself, looking nice, presentable. And with that, I didn't know this until after I met Scott, but most guys like long hair.
Yeah, I think, you know, one of the things that girls want the most powerful man they can get, right? They want status, wealth, you know, physical strength, like all the indicators of power. Women want a powerful man. Men want a beautiful woman. What are all the indicators of beauty? You need to ask, am I being the most beautiful version of myself? And what can I do to go towards that? What can I cut out of my life that is harming that? And for a lot of girls, stress is one of the biggest obstacles to you being beautiful. You know, a lot of girls have a resting bitch face. And it's like, guys don't want upset, high-strung woman in their life. They want a light, energetic, helpful, joyful lady in their life. Because being a guy is hard. So you want a light, feminine woman.
So it's as simple as even just putting a smile on your face. That's very simple. That makes you look way more radiant than...
Yeah. When a guy walks into a room, smile at him. You know, when you're in conversation with a guy, smile at him. When you smile at him, you're letting him know, like, I'm interested in you. I'm a feminine woman and I'm interested in you. Because if you're like, you know, bitch face and... You know, it's like, oh, this girl's upset. Like, number one, I don't like upset girls. And number two, is she upset at me? Like, did I say something?
Is she in a mood?
Yeah. So be happy. You know, even if you have to put it on, like you can put it on at a job. This is more important than a job.
Okay, so that's what our basic tips for attracting a guy. We were at a coffee shop the other day and we saw this whole thing play out of this girl totally interested in this guy. He obviously was not interested in her and was avoiding her, trying to end the conversation, trying to get out the door away from her, and she tried to keep the conversation going. And it was just so cringe to watch the whole thing, because you so want this person, this guy, to like you and be interested in you, so you're trying to keep the thing going. And if you think, if I can talk more, then maybe you'll like me. However, after the guy left, Scott and I talked and we were like, that is so cringe. The better way would have been for her to smile at him. And if he didn't give her any feedback, to sit there, go back to her computer, continue working. And that brings us to the mystery side of things. Guys like mystery.
And we want to pursue. We don't want to be pursued. You know, so if some girl is just constantly following you around and messaging you and
looking desperate
and just like blurbing everything at you, it's like, guys might play along with it for a while because like okay, but they're not pursuing you. That's not attractive. Like, that is, there's no mystery, and it's like, if she's doing this for me, is she doing this for every other guy? Like, is she insecure? She's taking away my opportunity to pursue. She's taking away my opportunity to ask questions and get to know her on my terms.
And so we say all this with compassion, because I've been there. Scott's been on the receiving end of that. I listened to a Danny Silk talk back when I was 23, and it changed my life. He talked about how a girl is to match a guy's level of vulnerability and to never exceed a guy's level of vulnerability. So that looks like if he's sharing something personal about his life, okay, awesome. I'll meet him at that level, but I'm never gonna go beyond that. So if he's not really sharing much, I'm not gonna go on about my day, which is exactly what happened when we were in this coffee shop. This guy wasn't sharing much and she kept on sharing. So when you are interested in a guy and you've done these things of meeting him at his level of vulnerability, when you have smiled at him, you can, from there, you can get a read. Is he responding? Is he now initiating? I did that with Scott. Scott was the first person that I consciously was very interested in, and I was like, I'm gonna try this Danny Silk thing out on him. Not in a game way, but just genuinely wanting to know if he's interested in me, then he will be the one to initiate the conversation. And that's how it went. Granted, I was a little bit too Ice Queen throughout the week.
But I was attracted, like, you weren't a bitch about it. Like, I was attracted to your joy, I was attracted to your character. Like, I got to see who you were, and you were never, like, number one, you're pretty, number two, like, always happy, always smiling. And you were always polite with me, but you never were like, oh, I'm gonna tell you everything about me.
So Scott had asked, it was myself with a few other interns. We were in a rubbish dump in South Africa. We'll tell our full story some other time. But he was like, what are you all interested in? And at this point, he has told us nothing about himself. And so I was like, oh, I love God and I love people. And that's what I ended at.
Hashtag YOLO.
And so looking back, I probably could have given a little bit more. But again, I was like, he's not told me anything about himself. I'm not telling him anything about me. And at the time, I actually was very interested in him. And I was like, I would like to know if he's interested in me. And so if he's responding, and if, you know, it's going back and forth, it's just like, how, I want to know if he's interested. Do you just go ahead and ask him if he's interested? So you've had that happen to you before.
Yeah, I've been
several times.
I've had, you know, girls pursue me and be like, hey, let's go on a date, or let's go do something together. And it's like, they went beyond just attracting into pursuing. And so things get awkward because it's like, some guys out there are just going to be too polite to say no. Some guys are going to be unaware of what's going on. And, you know, then it gets to this place where the girl's like, oh my gosh, like, he went on a date with me and he's answering all my texts, and, you know, we're spending all this time together, and the guy's not pursuing you, you're pursuing the guy. And it's very, you know, like, I was an immature boy who didn't know how all this worked, and it's like, yeah, the girl likes you, you're leading her on by just carrying on accepting her pursuit, but I never ever pursued her. And so it led to this really awkward moment where the girl's like, so are we dating? And it's like, no, you just asked me to go for coffee. No, you've just been calling me all the time, and I'm too polite to say no, so I'm gonna get out of here. And that's super awkward. The first thing to do is to stop pursuing and see if he pursues back. Stop calling, stop inviting, stop pursuing, and see if, you know, is he gonna call? Is he gonna invite you out? Because you've shown your interest, you've shown your I'm interested, I'm available. Now let him pursue. So a lot of girls just never know because they don't stop pursuing until they make this crazy, like, are we dating now? And it's like, no.
The next way is ask a mutual friend, ask someone that you are in mutual contact with. You can ask them and be like, hey, is so-and-so interested in me? Because we've been hanging out a lot. I just like clarity. I actually had done this before. I was interested in one of my friend's brothers, and we had met, there was interest, and he started liking my stuff on social media. First of all, that is never a sign that he is pursuing you. If he's liking your stuff, he's also probably liking every other girl's stuff. So don't take that as a sign that he's interested. I did. And so I was like, well, that's weird. He's not doing anything beyond that. And we didn't live in the same area, and he never reached out to me. But from when we were together, I thought there was something happening. So I reached out to my friend and I asked her, and she was like, oh no, I'm so sorry. He does that with everyone. And I was like, great. I'm not embarrassed. I didn't give this guy anything, and now I know, and I can move on with my life.
And that's a big issue in church friendship circles, because a lot of guys are just polite, nice guys, and they don't want to cause a stir. They don't want to be, they know that if you're in a friendship group and there's a bunch of single girls and a bunch of single guys, and there's a single girl and she's like, oh, let's go get coffee. If I say no to her, all of a sudden there's going to be awkwardness. There's going to be like, is this now, has this girl now told all the other girls that I'm off limits? There's an insane amount of social dynamics that go on when a woman pursues a guy. In my past, for instance, you're part of a big friendship circle and one of the girls pursues you. For a lot of guys, like, oh yeah, she's pretty, it's one of the girls, I don't have to make a decision. Like, yeah, fine, I'll go along with it. What happens is like, oh my gosh, you're in the church, everyone sees you on a date, now you're getting married. And it's like this awkwardness of like, oh my gosh, I can't, if I break up with her, that's the whole friendship circle gone. And that's,
the whole girls and all the...
and that's all the girls in the group are off limits now because the one girl's brokenhearted and, are they going to, it's all this crazy dynamic that goes on because the girls are pursuing the guys. If a guy pursues the girl and the girl's like, ew, how does that go? If the girl's like, no, I'm not interested, because that happened to you, a guy pursued you and you're like, no, I'm not interested. That's fine. Because,
it was fine. It wasn't awkward at all.
Yeah, because that's what a guy's supposed to do.
And I actually didn't go around telling any of the other girls because I was like, well, if he likes someone else, I don't want it to be weird. And it was never weird. It was never awkward. And I actually was impressed that he had the courage to ask me and that we all kind of still hung out and it wasn't weird.
Yeah. Here's the next thing that's a bit controversial. For a guy to go to coffee with 10 of the girls in church, everyone would be like, oh, and it's like, no, like that's actually great because he's getting to know girls and it's like, when I say coffee, I'm not saying like a late night movie date, alone, Netflix and chill, Bible flicks and chill.
Your local coffee shop or going on a walk at the park.
Yeah. It's like, but it's okay to get to know girls on this level to be like, hey, are you who you say you are? What are your values? All this stuff, because it's like, that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
And for a guy to then never contact you again, yeah, that hurts. Yeah, that sucks. But it's like, that's okay.
Yeah. And as a girl, what you can do, if you're in a church setting or a setting where there's other people involved, where there's older people involved or other married couples, a great thing you can do is if there's a guy that you're interested in, but there's no physical way for you to be in the same room, the same group, ask someone, say, hey, can you have like a game night or can you have like a dinner at your house and invite like several people?
Not just the two of them. So you're single, she's single.
Let's have
welcome.
Dinner.
I mean,
you just spit everywhere.
Go ahead.
Like, again, you can be tactful about it. You don't have to just jump the gun and be like, oh my gosh, there's a single guy. I need to pursue him before I miss it. It's like, no, be tactful about it. Create an atmosphere where you can talk.
Pressure at environments, because that's the problem with a girl pursuing a guy. If the guy says no, that's a high pressure environment. Whereas if a guy is like, hey, do you want to go to coffee? Do you want to go to coffee, or do you want to go to the park or something like that? A lot of girls, number one, if they say no, that's fine. The guy's like, cool, options are done. Like there were 6 girls that I was thinking about, like that's fine for me. But the other thing for a lot of girls is like, accept the invitation. Unless he's like some creeper who you're like disgusted by. But it's like, if it's just a good average dude, go for coffee. It doesn't mean you're now going to marry him. It doesn't mean, it's like, no, go for coffee, get to meet him. And if you don't like him after that, it's like, say no.
Be honest.
Just be like, no. But a lot of girls, I think, cut themselves off from so many good guys who are willing to pursue them because he's not Captain America. He's not super Jesus man who I thought I deserved. And it's like, no, but he's a good dude. Go, if he invites you for
get
coffee,
to know him.
Go for it. Just see where it goes. One of my past girlfriends, she was very feminine in the way that she attracted me and didn't pursue me. So, we met through family friends. So it was through mutuals, like, oh, you guys would, probably be good for each other. And it's like, yeah, that's great. That's fine. And, after that, she then invited me to a family event. And it was up to me to be like, yep, that's fine. Because that's a low risk thing of like.
And you had already known her family.
Yeah, I'd already got to know her family and stuff. And it's like, that's a low risk thing of like, if I don't want to go to that, I can politely be like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm busy on that weekend. And that's a way of not awkwardly being able to be like, you know, I'm not able to do it. And so then the girl can be like, okay, I've offered, now I wait, you know. And so in that case, I did go to the family event, it was great. And then after that, she waited and was like, oh, now it's on me to invite her to an event, or invite her to a date, or invite her to something, because she showed that she was, you know, after our first time we met, she showed like, hey, I'm open to seeing you more.
And that's not asking, she didn't ask him on a date. She
No.
didn't ask him to like, hey, do you want to go out? It's like, oh, like we're all getting together, or oh, we're all going hiking, or oh, we're all having a game night. Do you want to come?
Yep.
That's, again, low pressure on the guy. That's low pursuit. You're creating an opportunity to see if they'll come. You're not initiating a date.
That's it for girls, you know. It's okay to say hi to a guy. It's okay to befriend a guy on social media. It's okay to message a guy. It's okay to invite a guy somewhere. Don't keep on doing it. Your first time or first few times is saying, hey, I'm interested, I'm available, I'm happy, I'm feminine.
Don't say I'm available.
Yeah.
Don't actually say I'm available, but like present yourself as I'm open.
Yeah. And then you stop and you let the guy pursue. So if the guy's interested, he'll pursue, he'll invite, he will carry on the conversation.
And you'll notice that there's some guys that are pretty confident and are able to pursue, and then there's other guys that are pretty shy and they actually need the initiative of, oh, like, we're all getting together, you want to come? Like, and a guy's like, oh, thank you, like, I needed that. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's just some guys' personalities are just need that little nudge.
Another thing is messaging. Messaging is not a place to share intimacy and get to know each other. Messaging is simply a logistics tool. Hey, nice to meet you. You know, would you like to come to this event? Would you like to go to this thing? That's what messaging is for. It's not for like, oh yeah, you know, tell me about this, tell me about that. It's like, no, people can go stalk each other. Like, you're all stalking each other's photos and Facebooks and Instagrams anyway. Messaging is be like, hey, would you be willing to come to this event or come to this
Actually
thing?
have experiences together.
Yeah.
That's how you're going to get to know if you're interested, if there's compatibility.
Yeah.
Messaging, you're not going to have that bonding moment of, oh, this is going great or not, because you have no body language, you have no interactions. It's just, we did long distance for 2 months, and it literally felt like it was a holding period. When we got back together, we kind of need to rehab all these conversations because none of them felt real.
So, praise God, guys pursue, girls attract.
And be mysterious. Do not give your full self away physically. Absolutely don't give your full self away physically, but emotionally as well. Be mysterious. That will make a guy want to get to know you more.
And practically that looks like if it's my first time meeting her, I'm like, hey, so, you know, what do you like? And she's like, 10 hours of like her whole life and stuff. It's like, no, I love God and I love children. I was like, oh, cool, okay. And that was our first kind of meeting. And it's like, after that, I can then choose like, okay, so tell me about your family. And then it's not also like, well, you won't believe my sister, she, it's like, oh no, I have sisters and we have a dog and, you know, they live in America. It's like, okay. And then I'm setting the tone of the intimacy.
He's asking the questions, I'm responding, and then I'm responding with those questions of, tell me about your family.
Yeah.
What do you like?
Yeah.
What are you passionate about?
Praise
So
God.
we hope that is helpful for you, because we just really want people to get married. We want you to have a healthy, happy, holy marriage.
Yeah.